Hello, I'm an old fart, but I have a guilty pleasure. I like knives. I'm not an expert or an official representative of anybody or anything. I just like knives, and you've been joining me for a little over a year on a tour through my collection of small folding pocket knives. I should warn you, we are getting near the end of that collection. A few people have implied that they think I'm sort of like buying a new knife every week. And I've explained this before, but no, very much not the case. What you're looking at is a 20 or 30-year collection of knives built up over that much time. I've just been videoing them at the rate of once a week. So anyway, we are getting near the end of the collection. Today we're going to have a look at this one. This is a Knives Eidolon. Interesting little knife, small, amazingly light, a lot of nice things about it, and we'll go through that in a little more detail. I saw one of these in a store and I thought it was nice looking, and I have one other knife by this designer. Designer's Jason Lundquist, and that's the Kaiser Feist. And you can see the similarities. If I open this, see very similar size, style, blade shape. Anyway, I like the Feist a lot, so I thought, okay, I better try this. Picked it up as in bought it, then picked it up in the store. Picked it up and went, oh my God, where's the knife? It's light, really quite surprisingly light, quite different than the Feist, for example, with its all metal body. A nice action, as all front flippers are. It's a little bit scary, but a nice action. So anyway, came to like it, and it has become a favorite for lightweight carry. So go through it in a little more detail. Formally, this is a Knives Eidolon. This is called the Twill carbon fiber, and it is designed by Jason Lundquist, manufactured by Knives. I'll mention Eidolon. I'm pronouncing that correctly. I looked it up. I was initially mispronouncing it as Eidolon. No, Eidolon. What the hell is an Eidolon? Well, it's an old Greek word, and it seems to have two meanings. Originally, it was some kind of a spirit or a specter that was replacing or mimicking a person, and it has come to mean just an idealized representation of something. So I don't think this is a spirit or a specter replacing something, so I think we can assume this is the idealized representation meaning of the word Eidolon. So anyway, neat little knife. Mechanism, as you can see, it is a front flipper. And front flippers, I'm always a little scared of front flippers, and there are different kinds. This one, for me anyway, is a 4-finger front flipper. The jimping is right on the end. So I can open this easily and safely with my forefinger. I cannot open it easily and safely with my thumb. Whereas the Feist, for example, is the reverse. I find that that's a thumb opening knife. Anyway, front flipper, running on ceramic bearings, flies open, as you can see, and it is a liner lock. So traditional liner lock knife. The size, it's small. It's kind of a small mid-size knife. Oh, there's a misfire. Compare it to a few things. So the most important, pocket calculator scale. It's small. Look at that. It's about 0.8 pocket calculators. That's small as knives go. We'll compare it to a few things. Since it's so similar to the Kaiser Feist, it is, in fact, slightly larger. It's 2 millimeters larger than the Kaiser Feist, but very similar. It is smaller than the Mini Griptilian, which is my usual reference for small, mid-sized knives. And it's 2 millimeters longer than a small Inkosi, which always surprises me how small the small Inkosi is. So anyway, it's a small knife, small end of the mid-sized range. And it is also, as I mentioned, a very light knife. It's 56 grams. What does that mean? Well, it's 56 grams. What does that mean? Well, this is something you don't get to say very often. It is lighter than a Benchmade bug out. So 57 grams, 56 grams. To compare it to less crazy knives, it's less than half the weight. In fact, it's almost a third the weight of a large Inkosi. So this is the light knife, practically weightless there in the hand. The blade is pleasant. The blade is 20 CV steel, which is a very nice steel. It's a small blade, 2.8, 2.9, I don't remember, 2.86, I think, inches, which is measurably under the magic 3-inch mark that matters in some places. It's a drop point blade. I like drop point blades. This one, because it's so narrow in this direction, it is very pointy. It's a little bit stabby looking. Makes it very compact. It also makes it a little scary. The body is carbon fiber, and it's a single piece. As you can see here, that's not scales. Single slab of carbon fibers milled out to hold the mechanism. So an integral. And nicely, it's dimensioned in all 3 dimensions. Obviously, there's a width and a height, but if you turn it this way, how can I see that? There we are. You can see that there is shaping in this dimension as well. The surface of the scale has a nice gentle curve, and there's some chamfering on the edges. And the result is that it's pleasant to hold. There's shape in all dimensions there in the hand. I mentioned it is not running on metal liners. But there is liner on this side, of course, because there's a liner lock, but there is no metal inset on this side, which is how it got to be so light. The only metal there is the metal needed for the mechanism. The body is just carbon fiber, and carbon fiber is stiff enough that it can hold itself up quite nicely that way. And again, that kind of compares to the bucket design, right? Anyway, that's the body. The clip is titanium. It's deep carry, and it's very thin, which is quite neat. As you can see, there we are, deep carry. But a very thin and unobtrusive clip, which I like a lot. Right hand only. Can you see that? The clip is sitting in a milled pocket there. It's not just on the surface. And there is no such thing on this side, so no way to move it to that side. No lanyard hole. Is it ambidextrous? Well, for opening, sure. Being a flipper, especially a front flipper, a lefty can do that just as well as a righty. Closing, no. Liner locks are awkward for left-handed people to close, although this one's a little better than some because it does have a nice recess to make accessing the lock a little easier. And the clip, no, not ambidextrous. So, we'll have to say no. Really not a knife that translates to left-handed perfectly. It's manufactured by We in China, and boy, they do good work. When I say in a moment that there are misfires and can no longer reproduce one, remember these, right? Because it does have a tendency to misfire. We'll come back to that. So beautiful manufacturing, high tolerances, everything just fits nicely. So I like that a lot. In fact, let's move on to what I like. So I like that. Beautifully manufactured, nice mechanism, running on bearings, I think, and is very smooth. Did I look up whether it's on bearings or washers? I don't recall. I did, and it is running on bearings. Anyway, very smooth. I must say, front flippers scare me. I don't prefer front flippers. This one, which is a flip with the index finger, feels fairly safe because I've got a good hold on the knife, and when I flip it, all of my body parts are out of the way of this area of action. Front flippers that are operated with the thumb, like the Feist, tend to scare me because I don't have my thumb helping me hold the knife. I need it for the mechanism. And so I always feel a little more at risk here of dropping the knife or losing control of it. And so this, as front flippers go, is a very confident feeling knife. So I like that. I like the blade. 20 CV is great steel. I think it's a nice appearing blade, although a little stabby looking. We'll come back to that. I like the stone-washed finish. It's not too loud and flashy, and it's not overly decorated. So I like all those things about the blade. It was nicely sharp out of the box, and one thing I will definitely give them credit for, and I think We is good at this, the bevel is perfectly symmetrical. It's 25 degrees on a side, and it's as close to 25 on both sides as I can measure. And that will make eventual sharpening easier because I won't have to reprofile it to be symmetric. So I appreciate that little extra care in the sharpening process. I like the clip. It's enough to hold it in my pocket, but not too tight. It's deep carry and it's subtle, and I like all of those things. So the appearance is quite neat. I like that when it's closed, the blade is completely concealed. That's not the case on many knives, even on Lundqvist's other knife here at the Face. You can see the blade there. This one, when it's closed, the blade is entirely inside the body, so it just looks subtle. It's not obvious that that's a knife until you open it. Simple lines, I like that. I like the slight taper in the body, and that taper in the body continues. The line continues into the taper in the blade. So just overall, I think looks quite nice. And the 3D milling of the carbon fiber is great. It both looks interesting and feels good in the hand. So I like all that. Finally, I mentioned this already, but as a pocket knife, emphasis on pocket, my God, it's light. It's incredible. It's not as shockingly light as the bug out, even though it is lighter than the bug out, because it's considerably smaller. But it is really light, and that's nice as a low impact pocket wear. Comfortable to hold. It's only a 3-finger grip, but I don't find it an uncomfortable 3-finger grip. There's nothing here that's causing discomfort on that spare finger. There's no hot spots. The small clip is not in any way annoying, so it's a comfortable knife to hold and to cut with. A few things I don't like. One is typical with liner locks that are not front flippers. When you start closing, the thumb is in harm's way. See, the first thing that's going to contact is the blade on my thumb. So I have to remember to get my body parts out of the way. The blade is a little bit pointy to be non-threatening. We'll come back to that. The one major thing that I don't like is the flip mechanism. You can see here, there is very little blade shoulder protruding there. That's the part you have to get your finger on to flip. Now it is jimped, okay? But there's very little there, which is nice for appearance and subtlety and not hurting your leg in your pocket. But because there's so little there, it can misfire. You've seen me do a few, so it's quite easy to slip off that and not get complete sufficient blade inertia going, especially if my hands are slippery. I've had this outside when I was wet, and it's quite easy to misfire the blade. So not much of a don't like list, but a little bit. So let's have that lead us into my internationally unknown knife rating system. We'll start with the NTGK rating for non-threatening gentleman's knife, and we'll do non-threatening first. So for non-threatening, the good news is simple lines. So no hunting knife barbs, no harpoon edges, no zombie killing jagged lines on it, and the stone-washed blade, which does not draw attention to itself. So those are all good things. The bad news is the blade is a little stabby looking. It's long and thin, almost stiletto looking. It does look like stabbing is one of the things that the designer had in mind. More serious, being a front flipper, you can't open it two-handed. I mean, there is literally no way. There's no blade there. So you can only open it by flipping, and there is really no way to open it slowly. Well, you can open it slowly by having it misfire, like it just did there, and then pull it open. But I don't know how to do that on purpose. So it will only open by flying open, and it's surprisingly loud for such a small knife. You do this in front of people who don't know knives, and you definitely get a wah! So it's a little scary. So for non-threatening, I'm going to give it a B+. And as a gentleman's knife, it's mainly good. In fact, I think it's all good. So, gentleman's knife, exotic material, carbon fiber, pure carbon fiber, cool. High-end steel, an attractive design. The Wii logo on the pivot is quite elegant. You may not even have noticed it there, but there's the Wii logo just milled into the pivot. Understated blade markings, nothing on this side, I like that. And on this side, only Jason Lundqvist's logo. Some tiny letters. What does that say? It just says Lundqvist. So understated markings on the blade. I like that. And very pocket friendly. Light. This is a COVID pants knife. And what I mean is that when I'm spending much of my day wearing lounge pants or PJs, this is a knife light enough to sit in my pocket. It doesn't weigh down and look stupid. Thin, deep carry clip, so just very pocket friendly. So that's all the good. For the bad, I can't think of anything as a gentleman's knife. So it gets an easy A+ as a gentleman's knife. So A+ and B+, I'm going to give it an A as an NTGK. Well done. Really nice, non-threatening gentleman's knife. Now, how about the KN rating? What will my knife nerd friends think of this knife? Well, mainly good. The pros are respected designer, Jason Lundquist. Everybody knows the Kaiser Feist and some of his other work. The exotic materials, 20 CV steel, carbon fiber, and the fact that it's an integral is quite cool. And the mechanism is just a joy. Flies open, very smooth, easy to close. Knife nerds like all of those things. Under the cons, I think some of them might worry about the strength of a pure integral carbon fiber body. There's no metal bracing in there. So this is not a pry bar. And I think some of my knife nerd friends kind of rate everything against pry bars. Anyway, I'm going to give it an A+ because I think it's delightful. And the knife nerds that share my point of view will think so too. And finally, the cut myself rating, the CMR, it gets an A because I haven't cut myself. I haven't even come close. I'm tempted to give it an A- just because as a front flipper, I'm probably eventually going to cut myself. But I don't know. This one feels okay. The fact that I can front flip it with my index finger, so good hold on the knife, makes me fairly comfortable that I'm probably not going to cut myself on it. So, in summary, this is a nice little pocket knife. Small, elegant, slim. Not quite as non-threatening as I would like, but a great gentleman's knife. Amazingly light, very pocket friendly. Good materials, very sharp, well beveled blade. I really like it. It is one of my more frequently carried knives when I need something on the small, inconspicuous, light end of the scale. Thanks for watching. See you again next time.